Other than that though, we have the priority modules, which is made from cobble, blank module, and redstone, and upgraded with more cobble and even more cobble. So if we just put this in, for example, which is to decrease the reception priority of adjacent inventories, then yes, it'll prefer others over the other. So we'll just say send over cobble, and we'll see if it makes its way over to one of the two inventories, specifically that one. Now, we haven't set a priority, and we don't have the ability to use a tab to access anything either. So we'll swap these out and see. Nothing there, and nothing there either. So no tabs for either of these, but it pretty much just says to the pipe, hey, if there's an inventory that has one of these items, say cobblestone for example, whichever one is lower in priority, or just anything in general that isn't filtered, it will say, hey, send it over here to here, because I'm more of a default one to send things to probably, rather than I immediately need cobblestone to be sent here, then you can send it to whichever inventory is relevant for that. So we'll just say put iron in one of them, cobble in the other. Actually use the priority system not as an extraction though. We'll do this here and see what happens. And we'll just... Yep, so that's not going to send the iron over there, even though it typically would. So by setting this to a low priority, it says, nope, iron can't go here. This one's a higher priority because it doesn't have a low priority module in it, and iron will automatically be forced to a different inventory rather than the one that we typically would have assigned it to. And then pretty much you're just assigning it lower, and then even lower again. So if you want that, so that say this one is the 1 priority chest, and this one's the, say, -1, -2, -3, or say this was priority 10, and this was priority 7 at the lowest priority, then we can probably set it up that way accordingly. If you had even more inventories, of course, you could say, hey, iron goes to here first, as it's priority 8, this one's priority 10, so to send anything to it. Most of that would be the other way around, of course, I guess. And then this one would say be a different priority, so this one would be probably iron first, then maybe that one, then that one, and maybe the distance between them would be considered. So we'll just connect those like so, and see if we grab I think I moved it, didn't I? Yes, I removed it. So we'll get that back, and see which one it sends things to. So we'll just lock this off, and send it over, and we'll see which one it takes it to. So it takes it to there, because that's the most closest inventory. If we put a lower one here, we'll see it go to over here most likely. So it ignores that direction in inventory, and it ignores that one, and it will send over to here. If we set this to lowest, we'll see which one it sends it to. Most likely the low rather than the lower. I don't think it'll send it backwards. So most likely it'll send it to that one because the lower is higher than the low one is higher than the lower and lowest. So there's that. Finally, we have the last two modules, which is the Retrieval, made with a sticky piston, 2 redstone blocks, a blank module, and ender pearl, is upgraded with more redstone blocks and gold, and then a diamond, as well as more of the other resources. And the stack limiter, made with a dispenser and redstone and a blank module, and then that's it. So yeah. Besides the pipe frame as well, made like so, which we'll cover as well. So the stack limiter is obviously for limiting the amount of items that can enter adjacent pipes, so it prevents oversending. So if you had, say, a completely filled inventory here of iron that needs to be processed in a machine of sorts, then obviously you could prevent oversending to here, and it will try and send it elsewhere. So we'll just fill this up real quick, and we'll see what happens. And we'll also remove the priority upgrades as well. Let's get a bit more here. So remove that, remove this, and remove this. And we'll send some iron over. And we've also got a GUI, so you can set what you want to limit it to. So if you want to still have 64 go through the pipes, you can. We'll try increasing this to 128 and see that it can be possible, so it's not just 64 maximum. So you don't limit it to one stack, limit to one stack, and that's about it. So you can't do much more with the button at least, but if you wanted to say send one through at once, you could, regardless of extraction upgrades that you've got, of course. So just do that, and it's still going to send the entire stack, but we'll see where it goes. So it's still going to there, because there already is iron in here. So remove that out, and send it over, and see where it goes out of the 2 on this side. Oh, it's still going to, okay. So that seems to be the case. So it's not because, obviously, it can only send 1 over. So we'll do it again. Also remove this since we don't want it. We'll try with the pick besides the actual pipe wrench and see what we can get there. Yes, we do probably still need a pick. So move that into there and wait for that to move to the other 2 inventories. Now that we've blocked off that one, and we'll take it to there. So because it's not going to, because it can still send 64, but it's limiting it to 1 stack and there's not enough space, it'll completely ignore it. So we send it to here. I guess it'll still send it to here, and we'll move out the iron here. Probably because it's closer, besides just the actual limit there. So we'll try again. And we'll also just move out another stack there to give it 2 slots instead of 1 to send. And it probably should move it there. Yep, so it's still going to keep sending it there because there's not enough space. We move it out of there to enable 2 slots it can send it to. We'll drop it off to. We'll see that it happens to still go here. Okay, so if we change this to, say, so just move that. That's just going to make connections, which is not what I want. So we'll do that, and it also connects to the iron apparently, because you can have blocks adjacent to these as well. Good to know. So we'll send this as 128, and we'll see what happens there as well. Except with 63, of course, instead of 64. And we'll see if it still sends there. So it's still going to. So, yeah. Either way though, that's pretty much the sort of situations we can apply that to, I guess. Or a few others I could cover, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. We'll move, obviously, to the retrieval ones as well, and then end on the pipe frame. So the retrieval, we can use, I guess, instead of the extraction. And what this allows us to do is pretty much just filter specific things in it as well, similar to extraction. But unlike similar to the filter, where it wants to send specific things, is obviously fewer than it, but it'll be a pull situation rather than a push it out of the inventory, unless I'm thinking of it the wrong way, which I could be. So you've got 3, 6, and 9 for filtering between each of them, and obviously there'll be probably different extraction speeds, sorry, retrieval speeds as well. So we'll do that there. So none of these have pulled out anything just yet, but we'll specify some iron to send over. We'll just put about half in there, and we'll put that here. Now there's no buttons either to change that, so that's the first one it's sending things from. I'll send it over one at a time, and my guess is that the 8 and 64 of the extraction will also apply here. So that's just sending things over, no problem. And you do have to specify, it seems, or else it won't send anything over. And that's 22 left, so there's that. So we'll move this out, we'll move this in, we'll see what happens. My guess is we'll send out 8. Yep, time, and it'll move on to the next inventory. So it'll only work on one inventory, I assume, at a time, and whichever one is closest will output first, and then the next one will afterwards. So we'll move this out, and the final retrieval will most likely pull out 64 at once. So just wait for those to end their journey, and we'll put this in, and we'll see that, nope, 16 each time, not 64, so a lot less than the extraction tier 3. And then we obviously have the pipe frame, which pretty much seems like an outside of GUI type of filter of sorts. So we'll just prevent this. We don't need that right now. I'll wait for that. My guess is this is actually for specifying things, not just as a display element similar to, say, a sign or an item frame telling you, okay, this is what we're putting here, as a way of saying, this is what we want to send here. If we can't access the filter, we can find out that, say, iron goes to here. So we get some, actually we already got some more iron that we need. So we'll just put this in here. Okay, so display how many's in the inventory to the side, it seems. So we'll just pop that out, and we'll update accordingly. So there's that. My guess is that's what it's probably for, is besides actually having filters, this will tell you how much is in here already, and if it's already filled, then most likely probably won't be much more. So we'll just fill this up, even though we've already got most of it sent over here, technically. Then we already need, so we get a multitude of these, and we'll actually see what happens if we put them on each side. So we can only put them on left and right, we can't put them on top and bottom. But if we do this, can we see if there is any others as well? So there's no cobble. Okay, so this is any in the network, it seems, not just the adjacent inventories. So there's 324 somewhere in particular. If we pop that out, put the iron in here, how much does that update the network to? So that's 735, and on this side also 735. So send this over, fill this entirely up, and that'll update as well. So it's the following space there. That'll just update accordingly over time between the two of them. So yeah, just a display element then, besides just a way to tell you what's in certain inventories, which you'd more likely be using with an item frame technically. You'd be having this as a way of calculating how much is in your entire pipe network, rather than just to adjacent networks like I thought it would be. Other than that though, we'll actually try other connections to inventories, such as an ender chest, which won't work, shulker box will, tesseract from the tesseract mod does. We'll try also a few others, such as brewing stands, crafting tables and more, but most likely the accepted ones that keep things in there will work, I assume, such as the obvious of chests, blast furnaces, and so on. So just place a few down, see what connections are made. Yeah, so pretty much the obvious, it will send things over, will. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.